Hello, and welcome to the Illinois Drifter Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Kahn. For this episode, I wanted to find out more about a band I'm really very new to, Nomad Planets. I first saw them live on January 10th, opening for the Steepwater Band at Leroy's in Porter, Indiana, and I was really blown away by them. They're a great live band, and as I'll talk about when I bring these guys in for an interview, I was actually first introduced to them through their keyboard player, Chris Grove, who also plays for Steepwater Band. We talked about him a little bit on the last episode, and he's someone who actually I hope to have on very soon because he really is a music legend, but we'll get to him more down the road. But Nomad Planets really is a band that is a perfect example of why you should give new music a chance. Not only that, but also give it a chance more than once. Don't just listen to it once, say, oh, that's not for me, which is, kind of what happened to me at first with them. Glad I gave them another chance. I really recommend not just listening to something once and then saying that's not for me when you are trying new music. But they're really unlike any other band I listen to, which is a good thing. It's a cool thing. I'll talk a little bit more about that later after the interview, but let's go ahead and get to the band. We'll talk about each individual member as we go in the interview, but I'll go ahead and introduce them just real quick, just give a little quick introduction about them first, a little breakdown of who they are and where they're from. They're based in Northwest Indiana. They're made up of singer-guitarist Mark Mybeck, bass player Phil Rapchak. Those guys kind of were together first. They've been together for a long time in various projects, and they've also known John Carpenter, who's a singer-guitarist for a long time too. He kind of came into the fold next. They were together with a couple different drummers. Later landed on drummer Terry Boylan, who's been with him for a while now and is a really talented drummer. I mentioned Chris Grove, who they added a little bit ago, post-COVID a little bit. He really adds their sound too. They have 5 albums dating back to 2001's debut, The Indestructible Drop. Their third album, You're Never Lost Until You Panic, I think it was 2010. That's probably my favorite of theirs. That's the one that kind of got me into when I went back, started listening to their stuff again. That's the one that kind of clicked with me. And I kind of randomly chose it. It was sort of just one of those things where I just pulled it up and listened to it. And for whatever reason that day, it really clicked with me. It's a good entry point though for them. I really do think that's true. They had an album called Rise and Shine in 2018 that was also outstanding. COVID shut them down for a while. They came back I think it was last year, with Outside Abiquiu, I think is the name of the album. And another really great album. Like I said, that was the one I did try to dig into at first. Wasn't quite. I just wasn't what I expected, as I'll talk about more. But great album though, really, really good stuff. The opening music for this podcast comes from that album. So thank those guys for that. That was very cool of them to let me use that. And also very cool of them to come on the show. So I'm going to go ahead and bring those guys in now. Podcast, I have 3 members of Nomad Planets. We have singer-guitarist Mark Mybeck, singer-guitarist John Carpenter, and bass player Phil Rapchak. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for you, Justin.
Thanks for having us.
This kind of started, as far as your guys' connection started, and correct me if I'm wrong, but through Mark and Phil. You guys kind of were the first to kind of connect in the group.
Yeah, Phil and I worked together, and we were both very insecure in our abilities to play music, and we didn't want to do covers, and we started playing. I think that's fair to say. Sorry to talk about you that way, but I think at this point we can do that. So we started writing songs, and we had a person there at that same workplace who knew John and said, "Hey, you should get in touch with John." And so we went and met with him and started doing demo cassettes back in the old days and at Thunderclap Recording. And then it led to, how many years later, man? It's like, I don't even, 35? Is it? Maybe? 91?
Wow.
Sound right?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah,
Or 1990, whatever.
for you
Yeah,
and Phil.
90.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 90 when I arrived in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. And we recorded there. We recorded like two or three CDs, not two CDs before. Maybe it was one CD before John was playing on our CD. We asked him to play, and but we were hesitant to ask him to join our band.
Were we?
Yeah, we were.
Oh, because we didn't, because we were, it was
We
like,
didn't
oh
think
my
we
God, we
were.
think he'll do it kind of thing.
Yeah,
Not
I know. It
hesitant.
was like,
No, it was like, oh, we were intimidated, not
yeah,
hesitant.
They were
like,
reluctant.
I was going to say, whoa, ixnay on the hesitant day.
no, we were only because it was like, oh, would he join our band? It's like asking
Yeah,
a
yeah,
girl.
yeah.
It was like the girl was like, would you want to go out with me? It was like, John, would you like to come with us or join our band? It's like, so it took up, we had to build up a lot of courage to ask.
I told you we were insecure.
I kind of remember it as being just kind of a natural evolution, where I started playing on your stuff on the recordings, and then it just, we liked each other as friends,
Yeah.
and it just kind of evolved, and where we started playing together.
Yeah, Phil and I played out in a band called Whistling Jupiters before this, and then and Eric Lambert had played some gigs with us to play live. We didn't have another guitar player, and he was kind enough to step in and do that with us. And then when that kind of fell apart, we went and recorded our first disc, and that's kind of when John really came on board. And he had been doing all the engineering and producing and all the other stuff, but Nomad Planets is kind of where everything started to really blossom from playing together as a band perspective.
I got to ask you, I love the name. How did you guys come up with that?
Phil and I were on the phone just throwing words at each other, and
After Whistling Jupiters broke up, I was pacing in my front room, throwing words. It's like, hey, that sounds good. Let's go.
yeah, that's it. That's it.
Hard thing to do to come up with a band.
Yeah, no deep. Well, as a child, I would.
Nope.
Then the rest of the band kind of came along, and then it kind of evolved from there. Correct?
Yeah, Mark Bishop was our first drummer, and then Drew Enselman, who had played with John and Urban Twang, came on when Mark decided he was playing with other stuff, and he started to keep doing that. Drew and John, like I say, played in Urban Twang. When was that? I can't even remember this stuff, man.
Urban Twang, I played with probably from about 93 to 96, beginning of 96, I think,
Yeah.
with Urban Twang. And then,
So yeah, John knew Drew, and it was a very seamless thing. And then Drew and his wife at the time had twins, and his life kind of changed. And so Terry came in to do some recording with us on You're Never Lost Until You Panic. I think that was our third one.
Mm-hmm.
And he stayed, thankfully, because that dude is the best.
Yeah, what a great drummer, right?
Yeah.
oh, absolutely, man. We're lucky to have him.
Yeah, he made us exponentially better immediately.
Yeah.
How did he kind of come into the fold?
I had met Terry a couple times around the Chicago scene, but didn't really know him. And but then I found out he was living out in Indiana, and when I was working the studio, um, I had sessions where I needed drummers, and I knew of him, so I started calling on him, and he was just a pleasure to work with in the studio, and just a true professional, and that's kind of how we started the relationship, and then he came on to play on some of the Nomad Planet songs, and it just went from there, and he started playing with us.
And then we were all hesitant to ask him because we do think not hesitant. Again, not hesitant.
Yeah.
Yeah, what if he said no?
Right.
But
And then Chris came in about is he only been in the last album? Is that how Chris was later, right? Your keyboard player.
Yeah, Chris came like just before COVID. Um, we had done we did a live performance of "You're Never Lost Until You're Panic Until You Panic." I think it was 15 years after it came out, and we asked him to if he would play on that with us. And again, same kind of thing. It clicked, and we got along, and another step in making us exponentially better. Um, with his talent and Terry's talent and our collective thing, it's a pleasure every time. We get along. There are no fights. We don't have any egos about stuff at all. Everybody listens. Everybody plays off each other, and it's fabulous, man. Couldn't ask for a more better situation. More better.
More better. That's right.
more better.
Name the next album.
Yeah, no more better.
One of the things that I enjoyed in when I spoke to the Steepwater band, when I was talking to those guys, we kind of discussed you guys and what your sound was. And I do find that really fascinating. Like, kind of, you guys are a little tough to pin down, and I really think that's cool about you. I could throw some names out there, but I think it'd be more fun to hear what you guys think as far as comparisons and things like that.
I don't know, Phil, what you got?
This goes to me. I don't know. It's funny that a lot of people have mentioned to us in the past. They said, you sound like, but they couldn't put their finger on what we sound like because I think it's an amalgamation of everybody's influences, subconscious influences that have come out in our music through the time. We never try to sound like anybody, and I don't know. I just think it's just a natural progression of what we've all grown up on and what we like, without actually saying we're going to sound like this, or I'm trying to sound like this guy. That's bad.
Yeah. Or let's do a reggae song, or let's make this we just play and whatever comes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Geez, so organic. There's never a set out structure where, like Mark said, we're going to do this type of song. Luckily, we have the privilege to record. John records all our sessions and all our noodling around and all our jam sessions and things. So, which is great because we probably forget what we wrote next week.
I know I would.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
wait, wait, we did that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate that, John's been gracious enough. We've been going every Tuesday for the past, 28 years, 30 years. I don't know at this point, other than COVID. It's the only time we've really missed any time, other than here and there, somebody's sick or whatever. But it's been a commitment, and John's been amazing when it comes to that, studio time and recording, and it's been invaluable because, like Phil said, we have tons and tons of ideas that we can then go back and work on and shape, or throw away, relative to what we're doing at the time.
So kind of describe this to me. So John, you have a studio, you
Right.
have a recording studio, and so you guys basically have kind of a Tuesday appointment, and you guys just go there and tell me about what does this look like?
Every Tuesday evening, these guys, make the trip. They make, everybody makes the commitment. I'm kind of the lucky one. They come to my house, and and I'm so happy that everybody has made this huge commitment to be part of this, and um, it's just so Tuesday nights we get together, and it varies as to what we do. If we have gigs coming up, um, then we rehearse, the songs that we want to play. Um, but then there's always, time in between rehearsals where we like Mark was saying, we kind of jam, and somebody will start on a riff or a chord progression, and Mark will start humming a melody, and then pretty soon it turns into words, and it you know it everybody adds their thing. And lately, because of the experience that we have over all these years of having this commitment and doing it on a regular basis, it it has gotten to the point now where uh, it has become, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it, but it has come somewhat easy to fall into something, and something that is musical and that excites us at least. And so that's kind of our Tuesday nights. You guys could add something to that.
Well, I mean, yeah, and there are times where we go back and we listen, and it sounds like something we've done 8 different times before because, we're just noodling around. But there are times where, from the last record, Outside Abiquiu, there were 3 songs on that we basically wrote in one night. They weren't done, but the ideas were all there, and it was just one night where it was like, wow. So, and lately, well, we've always kind of done this, but lately we've been taking 18-minute jams, and John's been editing them down to 12 or 8 or 7. And we've got a few things that we're basically going to put out there as live takes, other than maybe an overdub on vocals. Maybe Chris added a couple keyboard parts. Maybe we tweaked something here or there. But for the most part, it's just live. And the way it was that night is the way it's going to be released, with John, producing it and engineering it. So that's really, really fun for me, to hear this stuff just kind of as it is, literally in the moment, and it's coming out that way.
You guys, your albums, one of the things I think is kind of cool about you, I'm pretty new to your music. I mean, I'll be totally honest with you. I think I ran into Chris after a Stevewater show one time, and he was like, "We have a new CD out, my band does," and I was like, "Who's your band?" And he told me about you guys, and at first it wasn't really what I was expecting to hear. You know what I mean? I'm at a Stevewater show. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like,
right,
this isn't. But I really am glad actually I went back and dug into your guys' stuff more. And I really, each of your guys' records is a little bit different statement. I mean, there's not, I think they all kind of have their own personality, which I think is really cool. And I know, from kind of just hearing your guys' process, I don't know that that's something you guys are necessarily going into what I'm going, okay, I want this one to have this personality or whatever, but it has worked out that way for sure. I mean, I'm sure you guys probably agree with that with those records.
Yeah, definitely. And early on in the first and the second one, those were songs that when I say I was writing them, it's never been, even on those old tapes, it's never been, here's what I'm writing and here's what you should play. It's always been like, Phil, what do you think? And he just plays, and everybody just plays their part. But those first two, other than one tune, were songs I was bringing in. But from the third record on, it's all been just us. And especially now, it doesn't matter who contributes what. It's us as a unit. There's no individual, that's mine, I get this. It doesn't happen. We don't have time for that, man. It's not worth the effort, and none of us are like that anyway. So it's pretty cool. And I think it's nice. It gives everybody a sense of ownership, and it lends itself well to the way that we work.
Yeah, sometimes the hardest thing about the last couple albums was figuring out what order the songs are going to be in. Because there's never any. It's where the way they sound the best, one after another. I forgot what it's called, sequencing, track sequencing, whatever it's called. But there's never any sound we're going for. It's just so fluid, and it's just through the years. It's just we go with what we do, and it's luckily it's been a pleasure to do it, and it just seems like it gets easier. So. with playing with these guys.
And I agree.
Well, you guys mentioned COVID and kind of what that was like to go through, and now here we are, kind of post that, and it's a tough out there for live, for any musicians really. This is a really tough time in the industry, tough time for a lot, original live performers. What does it take, at this, and none of us are young guys here in this on this interview, so what does it take at this stage where we're at here, to keep this going, to keep gigging, to keep getting out there and doing what you do?
No, somebody.
It's just doing what we do and not having too huge of expectations of anything else. The only thing we control is the stuff we do. So it is tough to find places that feature live or original music. Tougher, but there are some great places around here that do embrace live music, which is great. But I don't know. You just got to keep doing what you do, and the other things will take care of themselves. You can't.
Well, and I think it goes just back that we enjoy each other's company. We enjoy what we do, and we enjoy playing, and we enjoy the whole aspect about all of it. And like you said, none of us are getting younger. Nobody has any idea how much more we can do this. And for me, it's like, as much as we can do this with these guys, man.
Yep. Yeah.
There's nothing better. Well, there's no better feeling than going on stage with these guys and just having fun and enjoying what we do and making it again in the moment, and seeing what happens and laughing at mistakes. Used to be, and this has been a while now, but I would freeze if I was so anal about mistakes. And now, thank God, it's like, it's just fun.
Yeah.
Well, man, there's nothing like live music, and I want to just really thank you guys for continuing it and keeping it out there and doing that thing. So that's just one thing I really just want to get out there to everybody that I talk to, is just really appreciative of that. So hey, as far as what's next for you guys, I know you just talked about you guys have some sounds like you guys have some stuff recorded that you're working on. So what's next for Nomad Planets?
John?
Mark?
John. Well, like we were talking about, we've got a file on Dropbox with 25, 30 things in it. And of those, there are probably 8 that we've been working on. A couple of them are pretty much done for the most part, and we're slowly getting some of the other ones ready. The question now is like how to release them, because as you know, it's a whole different world. And the last record we put on Bandcamp, we did press some CDs, but we may just put them up one at a time and just not necessarily put a collection together, or we may put them up one at a time and then figure out if there's a good sequence and make them a collection. Don't know, but we'll definitely be uploading some stuff this year, somewhere. I know that's very vague, but it's tough, man. I mean, it's a hard thing to try and figure out, and none of us are 22 with 24-hour days where we can go in and figure out all the algorithms and the tricks and all that stuff. So it's all for the love of it, man. We just try to be as true to what we want to do and what we enjoy as possible. And real quickly, going back to live music venues, Austin in Stager, Finnegan's in Dyer, Eat in downtown Hammond. Am I forgetting somebody as far as originals? Feels like I am. Are always very, very welcoming as far as original music. Wild Rose Brewing in Griffith, because it is, it's tough. People want to hear cover bands, and God bless them, but it's not what we do.
Do you guys have any gigs coming up? Anything live planned?
March 21st at Austin is the next one. And then we got a lot of stuff going on after that. We tend to kind of rev up in the summer after our bones have thawed from the winter.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
That'd be
Thanks,
great.
Justin. Really appreciate
Thank
it,
you
man.
very much.
Thanks for having us.
I think my favorite thing about that interview was the discussion about the Tuesday night detail. That's really the essence of the band is, those Tuesday nights, and really in a perfect world, wouldn't the music business just kind of be that, some like-minded people getting together, no pressure to release a product, you just get together and play music, create from that, go from there. That's a great formula, and very cool to see those guys, keeping it going like that. I found it kind of interesting that they didn't drop any names when I brought up, who they sound like. I loved what they said about their sound and kind of where it comes from. I thought that was really cool and interesting. But I thought I'd give some of my opinions on it. In the last episode, we kind of talked about it, and Joe mentioned Tragically Hip, which I'll admit is a band I don't know much about. So, but Jeff mentioned Lou Reed, who I do know quite a bit about, and I hear that. At first, I was like, I'm not sure. When I went back here and listened to them, kind of, preparing for this podcast, I heard it a few times. I was like, okay, I do hear that. REM is another name, and I'm not a huge REM guy. And I think, some, like, if you're talking about Stand, I don't know if I hear that, but some of their, album stuff, I think I hear the guitar style and things like that for sure. I don't even know the names I'm going to say. I have no clue if these guys listen to these bands, if they're influences or not. Just some names I kind of pulled out as I listened to them in preparation. Jay Farrar, Sunvolt. There's something I hear a little alt country occasionally with that band. I wouldn't call them country or alt country at all, but every once in a while there's a little bit of that there. Tom Petty. I hear some Petty occasionally. There's some acoustic layered in with the electrics and things like that. Every once in a while, some Steve Earle kind of drops in there for me, and just like maybe some Britpop randomly. So yeah, just lots of influences. Cool band. Highly recommend checking them out if you haven't already. Also wanted to preview a little bit about what we have coming up on Illinois Drifter. I saw a show last week with Springfield-based Grateful Dead tribute Sunshine Daydream, a really weird and wild show at the Castle Theater in Bloomington. So I will, great show too. And I will have an interview with a band member coming up. Should be out about a week after this one drops. So really looking forward to that. Something a little different than we've done here these past couple episodes. And I think it'll be cool to get that perspective as well. Also saw JJ Gray and Mofro at the Castle. We'll have a podcast coming up about that. Have a special guest, not JJ Gray. I guess you never know, but I don't think that's going to happen. But a special guest who I expect to be a repeat guest on here on the podcast a lot. Looking forward to that. So a lot of stuff coming up on the Illinois Drifter podcast. Looking forward to it. And I will talk to you soon.